Folks, it's Giving Tuesday. I hope you're all in for a nice, short, sweet conversation about charity. In 1 minute, be right back. Treason, sedition, rebellion. This is the heritage of the American patriot. Those revolutionaries who stood on principle to fight against tyranny no matter the cost. And that spirit lives strong today in the activists and freedom fighters who fight against the authoritarian state. Each in their own way, each with their own mission, united for the cause.
I had the idea to run on a platform of fuck the police prior to actually winning the primary.
I mean, AOC is a drama queen and she's full of shit.
They said, you don't get to tell us no, we're the state health department, and I said, hell no.
You brought a freaking guillotine.
People already pushing back in ways that didn't even need any votes to be cast.
I'm not ratting on anybody, and I did what I did, so you're going to have to give me what the law says you have to give me.
You want to make the world a better place? Have some babies and raise them to not be stupid.
Hope I don't get canceled talking to you.
These are the people whose stories I'm here to share. I'm Justin O'Donnell, and this is Subversive.
Man, governments are not going to like this shit.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, activists, anarchists, and people of the internet, thanks for tuning back in for another episode of Subversive. As always, I'm your host, Justin O'Donnell. And before we get started, just remember, whatever platform you listen on, whether it's YouTube Live, Odyssey, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Anchor, or on the air at lrn.fm, you can help grow the show by liking, commenting, subscribing, and most of all, sharing with your friends. Now, if you enjoy the content, you can join the insurgency by following me on Patreon. Patreon.com/O'Donnell. Again, that's our community insurgency. You make sure you check out our sponsor, SnexSwag.com, for all your favorite subversive merch, including some brand new designs for t-shirts, hoodies, coffee mugs, and more. Again, that is SnexSwag.com, where you can literally wear your Liberty branded ideals and principles on your sleeves. So head on over and check them out today. And if you want to keep in touch between shows, follow me on social media and join our community Discord channel where you can chat with other fans of the show at any time. All of those links can be found in the description of the video or podcast you're listening to over in the link tree. So go, however, give it a visit and check it out. Now, what is Giving Tuesday? What is charity? What does this have to do with libertarian ideals or subversive ideology? Well, to use the definition on GivingTuesday.org, Giving Tuesday is a movement that unleashes the power of radical generosity around the world. Radical generosity they define as the concept that the suffering of others should be as intolerable to us as our own suffering. And Giving Tuesday reimagines a world built upon shared humanity and generosity. Our global network collaborates year-round to inspire generosity around the world with a common mission to build a world where generosity is part of everyday life. Whether it's making someone smile, helping a neighbor or stranger out, or showing up for an issue or people we care about, or giving some of what we have to those who need our help. Every act of generosity counts, as everyone has something to give. Now, one of the strongest selling points in favor of government services is the persistent need of those less fortunate, and the presentation of government services as an act of compassion and charity. But what makes charity so wonderful is the voluntary nature of it, and is the voluntary nature of people coming together and reaching into their own pockets to do things on their own. When an individual reaches into their own pockets to help the less fortunate on their own, it's an act of compassion, grace, an expression of community values and virtue. And when the state does it, they use violence and force to reallocate funds and creates perverse incentives and inept bureaucracies. At the end of the day, only a fraction of the money taken ends up helping those in need. And most of it, the bulk of it, is actually spent to create more victims in an ever-growing war machine. Your taxes are used to punish people for something they never did. But in the absence of ethically run government charities, there's a void. People hesitate to step up and fill the needs of their communities, unfortunately. The I gave it the office mentality. They took it out of my taxes already mentality. Welfare already exists to help these people. Social Security and Medicare exist. They don't need my additional charity mentality. However, the reality is that it's more important than ever to support charities, nonprofits, and people who are working to promote the causes of liberty and freedom in our lifetime. While the government works so diligently to put obstacles in their way. And there are libertarian charities and libertarian nonprofits and organizations that share your values and promote your values that you can work with. So this Giving Tuesday, I'm posting out a challenge to everyone to pony up and give. Now, if you can give something small, then give something small. If you can give something large, make somebody's day. If you can't afford to give, you can still help by sharing or showing up to volunteer and helping out in your community and helping those around you and reminding others of the importance of charity, because the state won't save us at the end of the day. Live your libertarian principles and don't wait for others to build the world you want to see. Now, from here on in, I'm going to take time. This is going to be a short episode, but I want to cover a handful of charities and nonprofits that I'm supporting this year and that I'm doing work with this year. And I'm going to cover 6 of them and why I think they're great resources, great organizations, and why they're worthy of your support. Now, this list is not exhaustive. If you think I'm missing a charity you want to see supported, make sure to mention them in the comments. Now, if you're doing it during the live chat, it probably won't show up later, but comment after the video and make sure you include a link to them as well so others can check them out. Because like I said, I'm going to cover the charities that I'm working with, but they're not the only ones out there. Now, first up, I want to talk about the Innocence Project. Now, a lot of you, if you're involved in politics, involved in libertarian activism, or have known me for a while, it's almost every year where I talk about the Innocence Project. They're a fantastic, amazing organization. This is an organization that exists to free the innocent, to prevent wrongful convictions, create fair, compassionate, and equitable systems of justice for everyone. Founded in 1992, the organization is now an independent nonprofit and uses work guided by science and anti-racism. Their primary focus is using DNA evidence in evidence that was not allowed to be used in initial court hearings to exonerate people who have been serving life sentences or sitting on death row. And they have a phenomenal track record of taking cases that nobody would help and nobody would work on appeal. And their lawyers and their scientists working diligently to get people who are wrongfully convicted or face prejudicial systems within the justice system out of prison, because they don't belong there. Now, I've given to them in the past. I'm giving to them again this year. They're a fantastic organization, like I said. And if you go to their website, again, it'll be linked in the description, the innocenceproject.org. They'll even have a list of every case and every person that they have gotten out of prison after a wrongful conviction. People often serving over a decade to 30 years in jail on false evidence, where the state has gone out of their way. State agents like Kamala Harris, the now vice president, former attorney general of the state of California, who would fight evidence and disallow evidence in court that would free people from wrongful convictions. So check out innocenceproject.org. Check their Get Involved tab. You don't have to donate, but you can volunteer. They need people to help with phone banking, messaging, outreach, research, and tons of other things as well if you can't donate. But they're a fantastic organization that you should look into. Next on my list is somewhere a little bit more local, right here in Manchester, New Hampshire. It's We Heart West. We Heart West is a fantastic local community organization that's all about helping and serving the local community, about putting together resources to help serve that local community. Now, We Heart West is comprised of their own description, action-oriented homeowners and renters in West Manchester that are committed to improving the community, from coordinating cleanups of neighborhood streets and parks to providing charitable service to homes in need like meals and transportation. Our time is spent to make the Northwest, Rimmon Heights, Notre Dame, Piscataquag, Wolf Park, Mast Road, and Penardville neighborhoods remain vibrant and welcoming for all. Almost every weekend in the summer and spring, there's a community cleanup or event where members of We Heart West get together and we'll pick a park or a neighborhood in town and make sure it's free of litter and cleared of garbage and trash. They host events and community outreach, community support events throughout the year. And just fantastic organizations. Chief demo, again, link in the description, weheartwest.org, especially if you're in Manchester, New Hampshire, or southern New Hampshire at all, and you want to get involved in an organization. And if you want to learn more about what they do and how they have great work and the great work they do and how you can replicate it where you are, make sure you get in touch with them. Again, that's We Heart West. They're a 501c3 nonprofit charitable organization in Manchester, New Hampshire that helps keep our community safe, beautiful, and vibrant. Next on my list is Free the People. Free the People is a nonprofit founded by Matt and Terry Kibbe. Super activists extraordinaire, libertarian activists, writers, authors, podcasters. Many of you might know Matt Kibbe is maybe the founding godfather of the Tea Party movement, where libertarians tried to take over the Republican Party with the Ron Paul Revolution, based on his book, the ideas and strategies proposed in his book, Hostile Takeover. Well, he's gone and formed a great new organization. They've been around a couple of years now, called Free the People. Now, Free the People's mission is simple: to turn the next generation to the values of personal liberty and peaceful cooperation by making the core principles, big ideas, acceptable and human. Their purpose is to teach people how to tell stories, to find people who are empathetic and to share their stories, to reach people at their best about what they care about. Let's just hear it from them. Make sure you guys can actually hear the sound here while I bring this up. Share the screen. Here we go.
Let's talk about Free the People.
We were tired of politics. We wanted to do something different. We wanted to reach new audiences.
People are smart. They know when they're being sold to and they know when they're being lied to.
They're getting tired of being told that they either need to fit into a red box or a blue box.
I'd say that the main thing that we do is tell stories.
The subjects in our films are real people. They're not Democrats or Republicans.
The next generation is up for grabs, but white papers and downward sloping demand curves aren't going to get it done.
You have to make it real for people. You have to tell a story.
The appeal of democratic socialism is that it feels personal. It feels empathetic.
These are ideologies that have killed millions of people, but that story isn't being told. We want to tell those stories.
Everyone thought that viewers had no attention span, that you had to fit your message on a bumper sticker, but that's not what we wanted to do.
And now you have people watching 3 or 4 hour long podcasts and hearing complex conversations.
It was obvious there was a market for ideas. People are actually starving for them.
We put together this amazing team of writers, videographers, artists, and technologists.
We're nimble, we're scrappy, and we don't get bogged down in bureaucracy.
One of the joys of entrepreneurship is to keep pushing yourself, to always strive to get a little better.
In just a few years, we went from making short videos for social media to making award-winning documentaries.
We've got a real opportunity here, but we also face some enormous challenges.
Critical race theory, the sort of woke authoritarianism, is really dangerous. We're regressing to the point where we're teaching our children to judge each other based on the color of their skin.
COVID was a real wake-up call. You know, you never really realize how fragile our freedoms are and how quick we are to give them away.
But we also figured out that when you treat people as individuals, when you work to build trust, you find out that there's a lot that you agree on, and there's a lot of work that we can do together.
Everybody knows the system is broken. We just have to figure out how to fix it.
I'm actually incredibly optimistic about the future. We've done so much in the last 5 years. Just imagine how much more we're going to do in the next 5.
Liberty always wins in the end. You just can't keep free people down.
But winning hearts and minds isn't easy. So I'm going to need your help to make the next 5 years bigger, better, and even more effective.
Free people work best when they work together. I know we can do it. How about you?
I apologize. We were muted there, Benzo. So the Free the People, fantastic organization. Great work they work on. Making out great media to reach a new generation of people. Okay. It's something that we have failed in the quote unquote culture war, where the left, the communists, the socialists, the woke movement has succeeded, is making art and reaching that new generation and speaking to them empathetically and in a way where it feels personal to them. And Free the People is bridging that gap, making art and media, podcasts, documentary films about things like the Restorative Justice Project and other great initiatives, bringing new forms of justice systems and alternative justice systems to local communities. And preparing a generation to want freedom, to want liberty, and to look for it. Next charity on my list is one that's personal, near and dear, home to me, is the Free State Project. Now, if you're not familiar, the Free State Project is a mass migration of more than 20,000 people who have pledged to move to New Hampshire for liberty. And by concentrating our numbers in a single state, maximizing our impact as activists, entrepreneurs, community builders, and thought leaders, the Free Staters are neighborly, productive folks from all walks of life, all ages, creeds, and colors, who are on a mission to prove that more liberty needs more prosperity for everyone. Now, those in New Hampshire are reaping the benefits of this movement, both in our freedoms and in our quality of life. But the ultimate goal is to set an example for the rest of the world about how we can be free and what freedom can mean for us. Now, this clip is an old clip, needs some updating. I'm working on that, and that'll come later.
The Free State Project is a geo-ideological movement to attract 20,000 liberty lovers to the state of New Hampshire. We've been around for 10 years. The idea is that 20,000 people have to pledge to move, and then once we reach that, people have 5 years to move. But a lot of us were like, we're not going to wait. Like, we think this is a great idea, you know. So about 1,200 people have actually moved to New Hampshire in anticipation of triggering the move. So we're already here and we're already making changes.
When I first heard about the Free State Project, I thought they were interesting. I wasn't completely sure that they would actually have the government paying attention or concerned about them. What I found surprising in the last election is that one of the questionnaires that I was supposed to answer as an elected official, when people are asking you what's your position on things, there was a statement. Are you a Free Stater? Do you have any association with the Free Staters? And these are questions that if the organization wasn't actually posing a risk to the establishment, nobody would care or mention it.
People move here because they're seeking more freedom. New Hampshire is a, very low tax state. There's no personal income tax. There's no sales tax. It's a really beautiful place. There are several reports that say it's the freest state in America because of the low taxes, because it's, great for families. It's really safe. We have a lot of business people who've moved out, a lot of, sort of homeschooling Christian people moved out. That's really one of the places we've been able to build a lot of liaisons with locals, where people, are looking for school choice. So all of those things. And, so people just decided they were going to move.
People decided they were going to move, and that's people like me. People who packed up their lives, traveled and moved and uprooted themselves in a search for freedom, in a search for prosperity, in a search for something better. And that's what we found here in New Hampshire. And it's an ongoing mission. The mission of the Free State Project has evolved. It's no longer getting 20,000 people to sign a petition and pledge to move. In fact, we're about 10,000 people who have moved. So at this point, it's about continuing to grow that movement and grow the community with destinations all throughout New Hampshire, where different varying communities, there's not a monolith of any kind, where one of the most diverse movements in the world, with everything except for political ideology, because everyone cares about freedom and cares about liberty. So again, an organization I work very closely with constantly. And if you guys want to get involved, head on over to fsp.org to learn more about what they do and how you can help and support the Free State Project this Giving Tuesday. Next on my list is another personal one. The Fraternal Order of Porcupines, also known as the Quill. Fraternal Order of Porcupines is a nonprofit community center in Manchester, New Hampshire that specifically caters to the libertarian and liberty-seeking community, where people like us, people like me, can find a community, find a home. And we had a tumultuous time dealing with the property and the ownership of the building in the last couple of years, and now we're in the process of actually finally transferring ownership of that building to the nonprofit. That's an expensive process, paying off debts, paying off loans to make things happen. The Fraternal Order Program, it's a great organization. If you want to read more about it, we've covered it in the past. It's one of the 101 reasons to move to New Hampshire in and of itself. It's having a vibrant community center that's jam-packed full of events catering to the libertarian community on such a regular basis. And if you want to check it out, the link in the description to the GoFundMe, gofundme.com/SaveTheQuill, was already raised close to $250,000 of the roughly 700,000 that it's going to take. Now, we'll get it done no matter the amount, but the more we raise, the quicker we get it done. And the more services we can provide to this community, and the faster we can expand to providing services in other communities as well. If you're familiar with the Elks or the Eagles or the Knights of Columbus, these other fraternal organizations that exist out there, building one national organization that caters specifically to people who value freedom, liberty, and personal sovereignty, and all exchanges based in consent is something I am very much looking forward to doing and looking forward to continue working with. And again, great organization, great work. And if you think it's worth your support this Giving Tuesday, head on over and help them out. And the last on my list, my personal project. Now, those of you following along for a while, you know I recently published a book. My recent book called Live Free and Thrive. It's 101 Reasons Why Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, and so should you. It's a quick read, only about 130 pages to cover 101 reasons why liberty lives in New Hampshire, and so should you. What we're currently working on is turning that book into a documentary. And this is not a for-profit measure. I'm not looking to make money. If you head over to libertynh.us, you can actually pick up a copy of the book for free. You can donate to help distribute the book to more who need to read it or want to read it. You can donate to help produce the film. Or you can purchase a copy in PDF and Kindle or paperback. But if you just want to read it online and check out the work we've done, all of that is available for free. And you can go check it out. Give it a read, peruse it today. And as always, embrace my libertarian vision of copyright, published with no rights reserved. Duplication, reproduction, and distribution are encouraged. So share that. If you can't donate, whether via cryptocurrency or to the GoFundMe for the film project, you can share the word and share the mission. Now, back to what we were talking about with the Giving Tuesday, radical generosity. The concept that the suffering of others should be as intolerable as our own suffering. I consider the most intolerable suffering to be that of the state. Because so much of human suffering is a product of the state, and so much of human suffering can be alleviated by private charity and private action and human action, as Mises would call it, the praxis. But what stands in the way is the state. What stands in the way of that human action having a human impact is the state and the actions of the state. So Giving Tuesday is a worldwide movement to unleash that power of radical generosity. Every year after Black Friday and Cyber Monday, we celebrate Giving Tuesday in the spirit of the holidays, in the spirit of Thanksgiving, Christmas, and Hanukkah. Holidays that are about family and community and coming together. And we need to do so by embracing the voluntary nature of charity and the voluntary nature of human compassion. It's no longer, I gave it the office, I took it out of my taxes. It's, how can I help? If it's not financially, what can I do? Do you need someone to drive? Do you need someone to help package meals this holiday? Do you need someone to help clean up the neighborhood? Or is this something I can share with my network to make happen? Now, I've shared with you guys 6 charitable projects that I am working with or working on this year. Like I said, it's not an exhaustive list. There's thousands of charities out there. There's libertarians and libertarian groups working on hurricane relief in Florida still. There's libertarians and libertarian groups working on migrant relief in Arizona and New Mexico still. There's libertarians and libertarian groups working all over the world. Volunteers in field hospitals in Ukraine. Humanitarian aid in Yemen and Syria. These are things the government won't help with because they're problems precipitated by government action. If you can't bring yourself to protest the war tax and the theft of your money by refusing to participate in their system, the next best thing is to help create an alternative outside of that system, where individuals like yourself, like me, can have an impact at a level we never thought possible. Because when you engage in charity and when you help people out of the nature of your own heart, it's different than being forced to. Reminds me of a old story I read. Now, I'm not a religious person, but I remember certain religious stories, and the importance of charity is always one. A rabbi is teaching his group of students in seminary, and tells them they can ask any question they want, and he'll answer it. And one of the students raises his hand with thinking he's got a gotcha question for the rabbi, and he says, "Rabbi, if God created everything for a reason, for what reason did God create the atheist?" And the rabbi answered, without pause and with true sincerity, God created the atheist for the most important reason of all. Because when the atheist helps his fellow man, he's doing so not out of seeking salvation and meeting the ordainment of a religion or a higher God. The atheist does so out of the kindness of his own heart. He doesn't have an everlasting afterlife to look forward to. He's not worried about being damned to hell. He's not taking orders from a God, a church, or a government. The atheist is helping his fellow man to remind you all what it means to be a good person. Libertarians are the atheists in that story, where we don't believe in government charity. We don't believe in the orders, compulsion, or mandates to aid and assist. But we do so out of the kindness of our own heart because it's the world we want to see and the world we want to live in. So I'll leave you on that. Like I said, another short episode this week and a short talk because it is a holiday season and I've got to get out and go do some work. But it is Giving Tuesday. So with that, until next time, everybody, be free. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Subversive. Make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications to get alerted every time we go live on YouTube. And make sure to leave some comments and reviews on whatever platform you listen on to let me know what you thought of this episode. And a huge thanks and shout out to our sponsors and the awesome members of the Insurgency on Patreon. If you enjoyed this content, you can join the Insurgency on Patreon by following the links in the description for patreon.com/O'Donnell. And if you can't catch the show live, you can always catch it the next day on YouTube, Odyssey, Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Breaker, CastBox, and wherever else you listen to your favorite podcasts every day. So until next time, everybody, be free.